I eat a whole food anti-inflammatory diet. One of the biggest questions I'm asked is where I shop, what I buy, how I eat. So come with me today when I take you on a shopping trip to all the places where I buy my raw milk, where I get my protein sources from, and all the rest in between. Hope you enjoy. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I was thinking about what to do for this week's vlog. You know, do I want to continue just doing vloggy things, or do I actually want to bring the things that I'm super passionate about to my channel? And the answer is yes, exactly that. I want to tell you everything about my life and the things that I'm so passionate about. Right now, I'm in an era of my life where I'm focusing solely on me. You know, there's been lots of trauma in my life, lots of ups, lots of downs, all those kind of things. And I think when I turned 40, I just thought, right, it's me, I'm on my own, I'm building this career, and I'm going to focus on myself. And one of those lifestyle changes for me, I mean, it wasn't a huge change, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but one of the biggest changes is basically my diet. Lifestyle was huge, diet was huge, and mindset another, but that's like a whole nother conversation. The backstory is I used to suffer with migraines, and that was a big connection to the depression that I was in. Some people are sensitive to other things than others, and me, it was migraines. And I was almost addicted to anti-inflammatory medication, and that in turn absolutely ruined my gut. And I think this was pre-2020. I mean, I was in so much pain, and I just went on this huge journey of healing my gut and removing every single medication from my life and learning more about the anti-inflammatory diet. My dad is Corsican, we're Mediterranean. We have always eaten in this manner. He's very, very much cooking everything from scratch. He hates anything ultra processed food wise. You know, we have been brought up with that. And if you watched last week's vlog, you would have seen me explain that I think when we were like 8 or 9, he came home with this article from the newspaper about butter versus margarine, and butter just had one ingredient. It's a whole food. I mean, there is processing in order to make the butter, but it's still whole food. And then the margarine just had this big long list. I mean, it was just a huge big cutout. And I think that stuck with me. So I didn't completely change my diet, going from eating a whole diet of ultra processed food to what I am now. That is not the case. My sister and I have always eaten incredibly well. In fact, Jodie ate better. That's my sister, by the way. She ate better than me. I'm going to say through her life. She is a dancer. She's always been a dancer since the age of 2. I danced until the age of 16. So we were very much under the control of being at home and dance and everything when we were like younger. But Jodie went to college, and she kept up this incredibly healthy lifestyle. And my life just went in different various turns and twists, but we'll talk about that on another day. But I find myself now in this place where I can solely focus on me. And I talk about this a lot. Within my community on Instagram, I have a lot of women and men from all different walks of life. Me, what I'm focusing on right now might not be what you can do. And that's been a feedback from me, and one that I talk about quite a lot. You know, with this holistic lifestyle that I'm trying to live, there has to be an element of like pure focus. You need to be organized with planning your meals. You need to be thinking about lots of different portions of the pie, my mindset, my lifestyle, slowing down my life, reducing stress, moving my body. You know, there's a whole big circle. Some of the best feedback I get from you is that you can take elements of my lifestyle and add it to yours. And I think one of my biggest questions is about my diet, how I eat, and how you can implement that into your life too. So I eat a whole food anti-inflammatory diet, but I'm also refined sugar free. So whole food, if you don't know, is food in its raw form. So if you grow a potato, that's a whole food. And all fruit and veg is whole food, and nuts are whole food, and seeds are whole food, and fish is whole food, and beef. And so you get the picture. It's food in its raw state. Putting an anti-inflammatory spin on that whole food diet is eating things that reduce chronic inflammation from inside. Now, chronic inflammation, you might not know that you have it. There are lots of elements to life. So if you have conditions like psoriasis, eczema, you have arthritis of some kind, asthma, all those kind of things are a sign of chronic inflammation in your body. Now, I'm not diagnosing that because you've got psoriasis, you need to eat an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. I'm just saying those are the facts. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to go in all the conditions that are associated with inflammation in your body. I'm going to talk about it from a personal perspective because I don't want to get into trouble, and I also don't want a million people coming back at me being like, I haven't got this because I'm not eating an anti-inflammatory lifestyle or an anti-inflammatory diet. So from my point of view, there's a lot of conditions that I had within myself that I didn't automatically connect with it being inner inflammation. So I knew that I had this horrendous gut pain, and I've always been a bit like, I know about the gut-brain connection, but I didn't realize, and I don't think I knew so much about inner inflammation. So what I did in 2020 is that I decided to completely eliminate sugar from my diet. And when I say sugar, I mean refined sugar. So anything that white sugar or brown sugar or coconut sugar or anything that's refined has been added to. Believe me, that is a lot. I mean, there is sugar in so many things that you probably wouldn't even realize. All the jarred sauces that you make pasta with, that you put on, even pesto, anything like that, they've all got sugar in. Most, I'd say 99% of the supermarket breads have added sugar in, from ready meals, from yogurts. It's endless. And if you actually looked at all the ingredients, you'd actually be quite surprised. So that was the first thing I did. I eliminated refined sugar. Like I've explained earlier, like my sister and I were always eating incredibly healthy. So eating ultra processed food was pretty rare. We've never been a ready meal person. I've never done jarred pasta sauces. We've always cooked from scratch. My dad's an incredible cook. That's what I've been brought up with. So going into the kitchen and cooking for myself is something that I'm accustomed to. But I definitely was more aware of when I started eating out. And I think this is the biggest problem. And for me now, my lifestyle is that whenever I go to a restaurant, I'll probably pre-plan where I go. So I already kind of half know that there is going to be something for me to eat. And if there isn't, and there's something on the menu, I will always ask, can you make this a different way for me? Can you tell me what's in it? And I just got into a routine of doing that. And over the past, I've been doing it pretty much 3 years now. By the time I really honed it and got it together and got my lifestyle set, I've been doing it 3 years. I've never cheated. I've never had an off day. And in actual fact, I don't even like that word cheated, because what surprises me now about society is that eat has a diet label to it. No, that's not a diet label. It's actually how people used to eat 100 years ago, because ultra processed food just didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. But now we live a diet of ultra processed food, and that is considered normal. And how I eat is just considered oh my God, that's too hard, that's too expensive. And that's the sad fact about diet now. And it's a shame. I speak so much about the book Ultra Processed People, but if you're thinking about changing your lifestyle or your diet, and you want to learn more about ultra processed food and what that actually means, and for sure it's UPF. So if you see someone saying UPF or written UPF, that stands for ultra processed food. And that is a majority of the food that you will find in our mainstream supermarkets now, in all the kind of fast food outlets. It's ultra processed. Even places like Marks and Spencer's, when you go and you think, oh, I've got a healthy lunch here, they're absolutely packed full of seed oils. And in my opinion, seed oils are the most inflammatory things you can put in your body. Seed oils is actually harder to avoid now than the sugar for me. And sometimes I have to make a decision if I'm out and I'm in a restaurant. If I asked about the seed oils, I will always get, yes, we cooked that in it. And 9 times out of 10, I actually can't eat in it. And it's a real shame. And again, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of seed oils, but please do your research, read the ultra processed food book. And if after that you think, do you know what, this is something that I feel like I can implement a part of into my life, then that will just change so many things for you. But back to today's vlog. I'm going to go food shopping. I'm going to do A weekly food shop. I'm not buying huge amounts because I'm actually going to France on Tuesday. It's now Thursday of the previous week, and on next Tuesday, I am going to France. So I've just got the rest of this week, the weekend, and Monday to go for bits of food. But I'm out of staples like eggs, raw milk. I haven't got any of. I also need to go and get my fish, all of which can be frozen. So I will buy that in bulk like I normally do. I'm going to pick up some bread because I also freeze that. And I'm probably going to go to Waitrose. And I just thought it would be interesting for you to see where I actually shop. I do a series on Instagram and it's about going to high street supermarkets. It was a big request. Obviously, the way I eat and the places that I shop in aren't accessible to a majority of the UK, but also they're not accessible because they are obviously at a higher price point, which is another argument that we could have with our government, is that eating this way is also very expensive. Ultra processed food is incredibly cheap. But I thought, for authenticity, I really want to show you all the lovely places that I go. I think one of your favorites is going to be where I get my eggs from. When I shared it on my stories, I don't know, quite a while ago, I think it was one of my most viewed stories ever. It was absolutely bananas because it's just like the cutest thing. And it's really fun. And this is how I eat. And like I said at the very beginning, I'm in an era of my life where I can focus on me and my lifestyle. I'm incredibly privileged to be able to do this. It brings me to tears. It really does, because building my community, sharing my life online has enabled me to really be the person that I am right now. And I will forever be grateful for that. And all I want to do is give back. If I can change your life in any way, shape or form, even if it's just 50% of it, it means everything to me. I have such huge ambitions to be able to speak on huge platforms to inspire women and men to be the best versions of themselves, however that is possible for them. I think you can tell I'm so passionate about the way I eat, the way I live my life, because it's real. I don't do it for social media. I actually genuinely eat like this every single day of my life. I love it. I have never been happier. I have never ever looked better in my life and never felt better. It's bananas. And on that note, I'm going to go get my list together, get my bags and jump in the car. There's a few stops along the way. I don't get everything in the same shop. So by the end of this video, you're probably going to comment being like, Donna, that's quite an epic trip. But like I said, I'm doing this all in one day. I'm a bit of a sporadic shopper. I'll just be like, oh, I need this and I'll go. And so that's kind of how it works. I don't set a whole day for food shopping, but I'm doing it today for YouTube purposes. So my first stop is my fresh bread. Let's go. Yeah, please can I get a wheat sourdough? Yeah. Thank you. So just a note on my bread, which is here. I go to a place called the Open Bakery. It's literally just behind me there. And I buy sourdough bread, which is considered much more gut friendly. It's fermented, that's why. And that's the only bread that I eat. I will not eat supermarket bread at all. And it's a bit of a sticking point when it comes to my social media, because there are so many sourdough style breads in supermarkets now that people just consider or are sold or made to believe that these are actual sourdough. Now, for a start, they'll all be made with fortified flour. And even though there's a process which goes towards making flour, the fortified flour is just gone under such intense processing, and synthetic vitamins and minerals are added to it, that it's then considered an ultra processed item, and that's why, or an ultra processed food, and that's why I don't eat it. And a lot of the time sugar will be added. Natural real sourdough is made with natural flour. It's being processed into making a flour, but it is a flour that's not been ultra processed in any way. It's retained its natural flavouring, it's retained its natural nutrients and its natural fibre. That's what the open bakery do. Another thing about sourdough is that it's made with something called a starter. It's fermented, and a lot of these bakeries that still do this traditional way of making sourdough have starters that could be up to 100 years old. I went to the Lake District back in December with my family, and I bought a sourdough bread from this beautiful little bakery, and their starter was 150 years old, and it's just continuously been fed, and it's handed down through generations, and that is sourdough bread. So unfortunately, every single bread that you buy in the supermarket will be made with fortified flour. You just cannot get away from it, and that's why I will not eat bread from the supermarket. Yes, buying it from a bakery is probably more expensive, I believe it is, and also these style traditional bakeries are not accessible for everybody. So it's a little bit that thing that I was talking about earlier, is that you do the best you can. Now when I go to Waitrose a bit later, I will pick out some breads that I think they're going to have fortified flour in them, you can't get away from that, but it's that doing better rather than doing everything. Like I said, I'm in the era that I can do everything right now, but if you can't do everything and these things aren't accessible to you, just do the best you can, and that is so important, and it will also make a huge difference. Salmon, the organic one, the whole half, please. No, I'll portion it, thanks. And can I also get 200 grams of raw prawns? Yeah, is that peeled with the tails off? With the tails off? Or are they on? They're on, or the shell on. No, with the tails on, I'll be fine, yeah. Perfect, thank you. Fab. Yes, please. Thank you so much. So I just pulled up at Springles farm. This is where I get my eggs. They're organic eggs, they're award-winning, and all the chickens are completely free range. And when I say free range, like this field in front of me, which I'm just going to flip my camera and show you now. This field is normally just absolutely packed with chickens. You can see some walking around there, and this is what they do. So this field, there's just fields and fields all around behind those doors. Like it just goes back for miles, and there's just hundreds of chickens that just roam all day, and then obviously they round them all up at the end of the day. But in this little shed here, right here, is where you go in and you get your eggs, and I'm going to show you now because it's honestly like the cutest things ever.
Please pass your credit card. Please wait for confirmation.
So I'm currently at the Hook and Son farm. This is in Hailsham. It's not actually open to the public where it's a shop. You have to ring in advance and tell them how many litres you want, and they tell you the times that the cows are going to be milked, and then you come and pick it up. So she's taken my bag and she's going to go get me my 6 litres that I buy. That cost me £21. I think it's £3.50 a litre, and I freeze it. And it's just amazing. But Hook and Son also have a stall at Borough Market. So if you're London based, head to Borough Market and they have a stall where you can buy all the raw milk. They have raw yogurt, butter. Yeah, it's an incredible stall. So sometimes when I'm in London and I'm working and I'm that end, I'm near London Bridge, kind of Borough Market, I will stop and pick it up there. But it's kind of heavy to carry on the train. But this is where I normally come, and you have to kind of be quite organised. It's about 40 minutes from Brighton where I come to pick it up. But anyway, here she comes now with my milk. Thank you so much.
A lovely day.
Isn't it glorious? It's so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's £21.
Perfect.
You've got cash?
I have, yeah.
Fantastic.
She asked me to bring, I don't know if I spoke to you, or
No.
£21. So that's there, and then £1. Can I ask you your opinion on colostrum? So I take it as a powder. Obviously, it's been processed into a powder. But I saw online there's a farm, Old Farm, and they actually sell it.
I'll have Mr. Hook is here.
Oh, Mr. Hook himself.
Yes.
This is Mrs. Hook.
Oh, you're Mrs. Hook. Okay.
It's a lady's John is asking a question about the colostrum.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I take colostrum, but I
Right.
obviously take a processed version. It's
Right.
powdered.
Okay, yeah.
What is your opinion on it in terms of health? Sustainable? Is it a good practice? I don't know.
Yeah. But as you know, it's the first milk that a mammal has.
Yeah.
And it's like a super milk. So with cow's milk, it's twice as thick. It's got twice as much fat, twice as much protein, twice as much sugar, plus antibodies. So it's about less than 80% water and around 20% solids, whereas milk is only 12% solids.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
so that's why it's thicker. But if you're getting a powdered one,
Yes.
it's probably been pasteurised. Our colostrum is raw.
Good point.
Well, by law, you can only sell raw milk. Only the farmer can sell raw milk.
Yes, I know.
So-
I have to do all these things to get my raw milk.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like travel around everywhere to get it.
So I can't see how anybody else can sell colostrum as raw colostrum.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Plus, if it's been dried out, it's probably been pasteurised anyway. In terms of the ethics, if you like, or and why isn't the calf having it? That sort of question. It's really important the calf has it, preferably in the first 6 hours. And if the calf doesn't have colostrum in the first 24 hours, there's a high chance it's going to die within 10 days.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
really important that the calf has colostrum, and we try to make sure that every calf that's born has colostrum in the first 6 hours. It makes such a massive difference. But sometimes the cow produces more colostrum than the calf can drink,
Okay.
so she has surplus colostrum. And if that's the case, then we milk that surplus colostrum off and we have it. But the cow will only produce colostrum for 3 days, so it's not something you just always have.
On demand.
No, so I get asked a lot for colostrum, and we do have it, but it's not all the time. We calve all year round, so every month I've got cows calving. So there's So at some point in the month, I'm probably going to have some. But when we've got it, it flies.
I know.
It just disappears.
So, okay. Yeah, it's weird with me because I don't eat meat because the whole thought of it just makes me physically ill.
Okay.
I eat fish, but I
Right.
can't. But it's really odd. Like, I'm going to go back to eating meat because I think for health reasons I need to do that.
Yeah. So we freeze it straight away.
Right, okay. Can it be refrozen then?
Well, if you're picking up here, it'd be frozen. So by the time you get home, it probably wouldn't have thawed out anyway. So it'd probably stay frozen the whole time.
Okay.
Especially if you bring out, an insulated bag and so on.
Okay, yeah, good
it
point.
would,
And in terms of like amount that I would need to drink every day for like maximum benefits, like
Right.
what do you think?
You would.
I ask all these weird questions.
Yeah.
Like I don't just want to.
I mean,
It's
if
such
you-
a precious thing. I don't want to. I don't want to misuse it. I
Yeah.
want to do it properly.
Yeah.
Like 100 ml.
The 100ml would be fine. I mean, we sell it in 500ml pots, so one pot would last you 5 days on that basis. That's fine. I mean, I've had people that have nicked a whole litre right in front of me.
That's
and
quite
it's really-
hardcore.
Yeah, it's a cyclist in London. I'll never forget it. He literally drank a litre in front of me, went off on his bike. But it must have been placebo because he came back about 3 or 4 hours later and said, "Wow, I've just been whizzing around London on this." Well, he couldn't have metabolised it that fast, so it wouldn't have.
No. It's a long-term health thing, right? It's something that I add to my wellness regime in terms of like incredible benefits.
Yeah, well, anything that you eat is going to take between 24 and 36 hours for you to benefit from in terms of metabolising. I've got a lot of customers that are on raw milk fasts, having only raw milk as their only food. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No.
Right. So a raw milk fast is your only food, and I've got customers who do it 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks.
For 7 weeks,
Yeah, I've
they
got
don't
one
eat food.
Well, this is food. That
I
is-
guess so.
That is the most complete food you can have. When you think about it, we're mammals, and by definition, we're designed to have milk. Being a mammal, that's what we are. And when we're little, it's our only food.
That's true.
And on its own, it doesn't have any help from any other food. On its own, it has to sustain you, enable you to grow, brains, muscles, bones, and so on, and give you defence against infection. That's what the job of milk is. That's the job of raw milk.
No other milk does that.
No other milk.
Normal
does that.
milk doesn't do that.
Well, no, that is normal milk.
Well, yeah.
But the pasteurised
pasteurised crap,
take
yeah.
milk and pasteurise it, and when you think how powerful the pasteurising industry is, how much money they've got, how well resourced they are, especially in this current climate where good food is wellness, you'd think they'd be making a lot of health claims, but they can't. The only health claim they can currently make is calcium. Even protein is dodgy. So milk goes from being an incredible food that does everything a person needs, and there's a lot more about it than what I've just said, to just providing you calcium, and the pasteurising industry isn't telling you how pasteurised milk negatively affects your health. Now that sort of stuff is coming out, and that's where people like yourselves on social media and so on are brilliant, because that separate narrative about what food should be it can happen on social media. But up until social media sort of happened and people started to talk about it, the food industry and the big food corporates and government have controlled the food narrative.
Literally.
They have. But you've got to ask yourself, for example, why is it there's so many health issues, gut problems, allergies,
Diseases,
obesity,
cancer.
all these things.
I know.
When there's, at the same time, there's never been so much knowledge about food.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's very simple. It's because our metabolism as humans has evolved over hundreds, thousands, millions of years, depending on what you believe, a long, long time. And the rate of change in our food in the last 60 years has been so rapid, our metabolism can't evolve anywhere near fast enough to keep up with it. So it struggles. And it fights food, and people are allergic and so on. But that shouldn't be happening, and nobody's really talking about it. But people who are understanding that are coming away from that and eating food that would have been around 60, 70, 80 years ago.
But this is what I talk about so much all the time. I was like, 100 years ago, this is our food. Like, this was food.
Yeah.
Now, ultra-processed food is our nation's diet.
Yeah.
And the things that I do for my life is considered, I don't know, extreme or like a weird lifestyle or a
I
weird
know.
diet. Like, no, I eat
But people
food.
have lost they've completely lost what food is.
Yeah.
And the reason they've lost it is because they've trusted the food industry, and the food industry has been really good at confusing people about what food is in the way that they market, the way they brand, the messaging that they put on food. For example, you can go into a supermarket and buy butter made from buttermilk. Now that's a complete nonsense, because when you churn cream and the butter forms, the liquid that's left is buttermilk. So buttermilk is a byproduct of making butter. So people would have known that 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, when you see butter made from buttermilk, oh, that sounds nice. But you've got no idea what you're actually eating.
No, I know.
And that's just one product. That's just one. There's so much more.
So this go back to that raw milk diet.
Right.
So 6 or 7 weeks of just drinking raw milk.
Yep.
What happens to them? Like, what do they see?
Right. There's one lady who does it for 4 weeks every year, and she's got a young family. Well, they're probably teenagers now. But every time she does it, she loses 4 pounds in weight. Her skin improves. She never feels hungry. It totally satiates her. She's been telling me that for about 10 years. She does that annually. I had another chap who was 7 weeks into it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's about 35, and he for 20 years he's had a rash on his chest that nothing has shifted, antibiotics and so on. And in the first 2 weeks it had gone, being on raw milk. Now when you get home, science between 1920 and 1940 was brilliant. It was doing stuff for knowledge, for the sake of human knowledge. But then science after the Second World War chased the money, went down the corporate route and went where the money is. But that science that was done, especially in the 1920s, was really fascinating. It did some really good stuff, but it's been sort of shelved. You have to find it, you have to dig it out. And there's one experiment that was done. It's done by the Mayo Medical Institute in the US, which is an established research medical institute. And in the 1920s, they did a piece of work. It was called the milk cure. You can look it up.
Oh my God! I'm gonna dive deep into this.
Yeah. So very simply, with the milk cure, whatever your condition, whatever your ailment, whatever your illness, whatever your problem was, your treatment was the same. And it considered just two things, and that was that you were put in bed, and you were only given raw grass-fed milk as your food, and that was it. And all sorts of conditions were either improved or disappeared, even cancer.
Good God.
Now, that piece of work, which was done by a proper medical institute in the 1920s, you have to really dig to find it. It is there, you can find it, you can find it as a PDF and so on. But
it's called the milk cure.
Google the milk cure, and you might have to scroll down a bit to get to it, but yeah.
So I've literally just had the best chat with Steve Hook. He owns Hook and Son Farm. And what he doesn't know about raw milk and colostrum, honestly, it's just so incredible speaking to these kind of people. And I'm going to let a little spoiler out on this YouTube vlog right now, is that in January, I am hoping, I'm not going to say that I'm 100% going to do it, because a lot of things need to come together in order for me to do it, but I'm hoping to start a podcast. And Steve Hook is the type of people that I immediately want onto my podcast, because the passion he has behind the raw milk, and I'm going to say movement because I truly believe it's a movement right now. Let's get people knowing how incredibly nutritious and healing this can be. He's told me to go home and Google the milk cure. It was a big study done back in 1920. And he said it's quite hard to find, but it's there. And I'm going to research it. And you can see how passionate I am about these things. Anyway, I asked him about colostrum. Colostrum is something that I take as a powdered form, and I would like to have it as a raw form. And it's not something that they have readily available all the time. You can't order it. They calve every single month, and if you don't know what colostrum is, the colostrum is the first milk of when the calf is born. It's the first milk that the mother produces. I've definitely spoken about it on vlogs before, but the calf has its colostrum, and then the cow continues to produce it, and the calf doesn't need that much, so there's always excess. So they don't know when they're going to have it, but they'll always have it at some point because there's excess. So I said to him, I definitely need to put my name on a kind of waiting list because I'd really love to try it in raw form. Anyway, he went round the back to have a look for me, and he came back with this. He said, that's all I have left. He didn't charge me for it, which is really nice, and he said, take it home. I think there's about 100 ml in there, and I'm going to add this raw colostrum to my smoothie. I am so excited about this. This is just incredible. Yeah, it's nature's healing food, real food. I mean, in terms of everything we eat, milk, raw milk, and honey, raw honey, are actual food. They feed beings in order to be better, create immune systems, gut linings, all things like that. That's what raw milk and raw colostrum does. Yeah, I'm going to stop ranting. I've still got more shopping to do. I'm quite exhausted doing all this shopping on one day, to be honest with you. But let's go. Let's go to Waitrose. So guys, here we are in Waitrose. I'm at the bread counter as promised, and I'm looking for their alternatives to, you know, their sourdough style bread. And one that comes up a lot when I talk about the bread that I eat online is Jason's, which is this one here. The ingredients are wheat flour, but it's been fortified, and it's got the wheat flour, calcium carbonate, iron, niacin and thiamine in. Water, salt, fermented wheat flour. So, as I was saying earlier, sometimes when you just can't do the very best, and I completely understand that, you know, the bakeries that I shop in are not accessible, you have to do just that little one step below that, and this is a really good option when it comes to a bread that is, it doesn't even say sourdough style, it actually says sourdough. It's a white ciabatta. There's that one. And there's also Bertinat Bakery, which is this one, and I think this is one I've actually found online for people. I think I preferred it than the Jason's. Let me just read the ingredients. It's flour, again, it's fortified flour. You're not going to find bread in the supermarket without fortified flour, and so you kind of have to move on from that. But it's wheat flour, calcium, iron, niacin, thiamine in it. That's the fortified flour. Then you've got wholemeal wheat flour, barley flour, organic wholemeal, Emma wheat flour, spelt flour and sea salt. So there's no added sugar, there's no like seed oils or anything like that. So another one is the Bertinat Bakery sourdough, real sourdough, no additives bread. I like that one too. They also do different options. They have a malted wheat and a seeded. Whatever is your preference. This is Waitrose's own white sourdough bread. The ingredients are fortified wheat flour, water, rye flour, salt, wholemeal wheat flour. So if you just want to go for the Waitrose's own one, again, it's that better option than the bad options, if you know what I mean. And nothing's bad. It's just, it's not completely natural. It doesn't have its natural nutrients in it. They've also got a Duchy original. That's wholemeal seeded half. Ingredients, again, just the fortified flour. Everything else is just lots of seeds and sea salt. So there are a lot of options in supermarkets. Some supermarkets are better than others. Waitrose for me is definitely the best when it comes to real healthier options, you know, like in that real food category for me, and hence why I come here quite often. But in my series on Instagram, I will go around the other supermarkets and I'll do this bread thing and see if we can just collate this big kind of like bread black book of bread, so you know which to buy if you don't have access to the bakery. So on the note of the anti-inflammatory diet, if you go to the magazine section, I'm guessing of any supermarket or newsagents or anything like that, you'll find magazines that are just like health related, food related, diet related, those kind of things. And there's always one that just says like the anti-inflammatory plan or the anti-inflammatory handbook. This one happens to be right here. It'll be, you know, it'll be comprehensive. There'll be a lot about, I mean, I've even just flicked a page and it's got red light in it. So there you go. Try red light therapy. Anti-inflammatory, you know, it's my thing. I talk about it. So just pick up this magazine. How much is it? £6.99. £6.99. This little magazine book can literally change your life. It's great. Do you know what? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it for education purposes because I just love reading things like that. I'm going to go buy it and maybe grab some new snippets of information for you. Never stop learning. You can even pick up Chris Van Tulleken's paperback version of Ultra Processed People in Waitrose, guys. Get on it. Okay, one last thing before I leave, because this is turning into a little bit of a educational food shop rather than just me what I'm buying. But let's talk about kefir real quick. If you're going to buy kefir, please buy regular unflavoured kefir. This in a supermarket is one that I highly recommend. This is the Beautiful Gut Health kefir drink. This one says gut health on it. The irony, this will have sugars in it. These have all got like sweeteners and everything. These are actually detrimental to your gut health. Belgian chocolate flavour, no, honestly, do your body a favour and please just buy the original Beautiful Gut or the organic kefir. It's the Beautiful original one, and it's great that they do organic. This must be new because I didn't know that before. So yeah, I just really feel like it's something I wanted to say about the kefir. Like all these yogurt drinks, and they're actually harmful to your gut. They're not good for your gut, even though they're advertised as. I am done. That's it. My day's shopping is finished. I'm actually exhausted and it's been the loveliest day today, like 20 degrees. So it's been a real pleasure doing it. I really wanted this video to just be everything that I eat and food shop for, and I wanted you to kind of see it in like a compact way. So I don't normally do like all of this in one go because yeah, the milk's like 40 minutes away from me, but I'm going to go home now, unpack it all. And I think it's like 5 p.m, 5:05. I'm going to enjoy an evening of sun out on my terrace. I think it's just glorious today here. Love it. I'm home, and before I unpack my shopping, I just picked up this parcel from downstairs. I think it's some flowers. Let's open it. Oh my God, how beautiful. From Sisley. How gorgeous. That's to celebrate the new Phyto lip balm. How stunning. I love that concept, the forever flower thing, because yeah, I'll just be able to keep them forever. Here is the product. I shall open that, give it a try. Dear Donna, we hope you love your forever flowers. Love, Et Hem. That's who made these beautiful flowers, Et Hem. Aren't they stunning? There's some peonies in there as well. It's peony season now. So that's a nice little welcome home gift from Sisley. Thank you, Sisley. Right, I've got my slippers on. Let's unpack all of this shopping. So first up, my bread that you saw me get earlier. I ate a slice out of it. I was hungry in the car. So this one I put straight in the freezer, and I buy one big loaf a week. They slice it for me and that will just last me the week. I can't remember how much they are. I think they're £3.50. Next I went to the Park Farm shop, which is the nearest one to me. So there's a lot of farm shops that I go to. I'm super lucky where I live because I have an abundance of beautiful organic farm shops. Yeah, and this one is just closer to me. So I thought just ease of, the logistics of today, because I had quite a lot of places that I needed to go and a lot of them are quite far out and the traffic was diabolical. So I went to my nearest one, but I bought some British asparagus. That's in season right now. I love seasonal fruit and veg. And in the summer, I think one of my favorite kind of things to do is just to sit outside and eat summer veg salads. I love, just steamed asparagus with fresh sugar snap peas, bulgur wheat, bit of feta, olive oil, fresh mint. Honestly, there is nothing better to me. I bought a cucumber. I'm going to do some juice to have in the fridge. I bought some celery because I juice that in the morning. Some bananas. They're quite green, but they'll ripen really super quickly in my veg stack. An avocado. I normally buy more, but like I said earlier, I'm going away on Tuesday, so I didn't need that much. And this will see me through the next few days and it will be fine by the time I get back. A garlic. I can never go fruit and veg shopping without buying garlic. I probably got 7 in my veg pot. A sweet potato, because I might do some sweet potato fries. Tender stem broccoli. I bought some organic apples. A couple of lemons for salad dressings, juices, that kind of thing. Some fresh ginger and a fresh chilli. I love roasting broccoli in the oven with olive oil and fresh chilies. They're so good. So I just picked up that because I think I'm going to do that later. So that's Park Farm shop. I spent £21.55 on all of that. So that's the farm shop. And then I went to my fishmonger, which I've been going to for years. And if you watched quite a few vlogs back, possibly could have been my first or my second, I talk about buying half a fillet of Scottish organic salmon. It's not wild, it's organic, but the company is called Waitrose. They farm in the most organic and natural way. It's an incredible company. I will link it again in the description of this vlog, but watch a few vlogs back. I do think it's my not my first vlog, my second, and I'm portioning it, talking about Waitrose and how they, they basically raise the salmon. So I bought a whole side of salmon, which I have here, and I will portion it myself into slices and then freeze it. Lasts me quite a long time. And I bought some raw prawns because I think I'm going to have those this evening. And in there I spent, I think the fish was £30 and the prawns were £5, so £35 in the fish shop. Bearing in mind that piece of salmon lasts me a long time. I haven't been since that vlog that I did, so it could be 4 weeks ago. So that piece of salmon will last me 4 weeks. And then I went to Hook & Son, obviously, as you saw, and I bought my raw milk. Here it is right here. This is what it looks like in the plastic pot, and I can pop those straight into the freezer. And as you also saw, he gave me some fresh colostrum, which is actually defrosted now. It's a really warm day today. So I'm going to put that straight in the fridge, and this is going to go straight into my smoothie tomorrow morning. I'm super excited about it. And then my last stop was Waitrose. So here's what I bought. What did I buy in Waitrose? I got my Ortiz tuna. I buy the 1 portion cans. I don't actually know how much. Oh, they're 92 grams of tuna in each can. So I've got 6 in there. I don't eat tuna every day, probably 3 times a week, but I love the Ortiz. That's the only tuna that I will eat. I bought some bulgur wheat. Like I was just saying, I absolutely love summer salads with like a bulgur wheat or a buckwheat with some cheese in, lots of like summer veg, olive oil, fresh mint, garlic, roasted garlic. So, and I love bulgur wheat in the summer. This is one of my favourites. So I bought some of this. This is £1.75, I think, which I thought was quite good. I bought 2 more avocados because I realised that I want to eat my avocados quickly, and the one I bought is not going to ripen before I leave. So I want to make an avocado dressing for my dinner tonight. So I had to buy some avocados that were ripe. My washing up liquid. This is the one I use, Ecover. I picked up that. A big pot of my Meridian peanut butter. I have the smooth one. I really love this one. It's 100% peanuts. That's all that's in it. Please look at your ingredients on the things that you buy, especially when they're, you know, in a jar or in a packet. Read the ingredients. So many peanut butters have sugar added, which honestly, I really don't understand. And seed oils, like rapeseed oil. No, 100% peanuts. And sometimes sea salt's added. Let me see what's in this one. I think it's 100% peanuts. Roasted peanuts. It's really nice. You can taste the roastiness in it. I really love this one. I bought 2 different types of raw cheese. Yes, you can get raw cheese on the high street. If you watched my latest reel on my Instagram, I talk about Waitrose, and they have a great raw cheese selection. A lot of cheese is made with unpasteurized milk, and Waitrose are really great at labelling. So I bought the Fior delle Api, which is a Swiss cheese with raw cow's milk. And I also bought a Gruyere. Absolutely love it. It's written differently. It's written with unpasteurized cow's milk, which is exactly the same as raw. This is another Swiss cheese. It's probably Gruyere is my favorite, but I love to have a little bit of cheese every day. It's a really great fat sauce. I bought 2 cartons of Plenish almond milk. I normally get this from Amazon as a bulk buy, but I've been a bit unorganised and I didn't get it, and I haven't any left. When I don't have raw milk, I've run out, I couldn't get any, for instance, anything like that, I use Plenish almond milk. This is literally the only plant-based milk that I will drink. It's minimally processed, spring water, organic almonds and sea salt. I will at some point make my own just to have in the fridge, but I just don't really seem to... I've got into that thing first, but I am planning on doing a lot more of making the processed things that I eat at home. I'm kind of excited about the prospect of it, but we will get to that another day. I bought some mint, because I love a fresh mint tea in the evening, especially in the summer, and I bought some dill. This is going to go in my avocado dressing. And in Waitrose, I spent £67.53. I did actually buy something else in Waitrose. 2 seconds. I picked up the anti-inflammatory handbook because I was speaking about it in the shop, and I love picking these things up. I've got tons of them, and every time I see a new one, I just pick it back up. Even though I live this life, I've lived it for 3 years and I know everything about it, but you never know. There's always something to learn. Like I said, I love learning. £6.99. Pick this book up and literally change your life, guys. It will change your life, I promise you. So that's it. That is this week's vlog. That's pretty much my shopping trips. Like, that's what I do. Don't do it all on the same day. I was quite tired today. Hook and Son is quite far from me. The traffic was awful and I was just like a bit stressy at times. But I did it all today because I really wanted to show you how I eat, where I get pretty much 99% of my food from. The only thing that will differ is the different farm shops that I go to. I didn't go to Plawhatch today because that is quite a long way out. It's about an hour drive. And I knew that the things that I could get from Plawhatch, I can pretty much get everything out everywhere else. But Plawhatch is a very special farm shop. It's a biodynamic one. They have raw kefir, they have raw milk, they have beautiful biodynamic fed animals that they sell the meat of there, and they also do fruit and veg. It's all grown on their biodynamic farm, and I feel like that is one for a completely separate vlog. So I went to my local farm shop, the things that I can do that are convenient to me, and this is how I live. I do go to supermarkets. Waitrose is probably the one that I will frequent the most. It's just easier for me to get things like the Ortiz tuna. I haven't seen it in any other supermarket. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments for me. Let me know. Shall I do some recipes with some of the things that I bought? Yeah, the world's your oyster. Ask me. But until next week, guys, something a bit different next week. You're going to get a bonus video on Wednesday because I'm going to France, and There's going to be a lot of footage. So yeah, I guess I will see you on Wednesday. Enjoy tonight's video and thank you so much for watching.